What is now proven was once only imagined.
What is up, champions? Welcome to another episode of Champion Reads, where we talk about best-selling books and their best principles to help you out with your best life. I'm your co-host, Coach Willie Blake, and I'm here with my other co-host, Mr. Ian Sturmer, as well as our guest, the founder of Champion Circle, Mr. John Kovacs Jr. And today, we are jumping into another episode from this awesome book called The Lean Startup. If you're on video, you can jump over to John's screen. You can see the wonderful blue book, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. And today we're going to talk about something that comes further in the book, about batching tasks to help move momentum forward. And when it comes to innovation, that when you limit parameters, it comes. And innovation comes when you limit parameters and you have a plan in place. So with those topics today, I'm actually going to throw it to our founder of Champion Circle and our guest to start off this discussion.
Awesome. Thank you. And for those of you listening and or watching our feed here, just know that there's a lot that goes on in preparation for these calls and in what we call the green room, or in the back room, backstage, before we go live. A lot of conversations, a lot of planning and discussion. But also today was the first day that I almost, when Ian was sharing a quote, I almost just burst out laughing, not because the quote was funny, but because of just everything that's accumulated to this conversation. And it's been a great day, a great morning. So wherever you're at, wherever you're listening to this throughout the world, welcome. We appreciate you. And just know we are having fun. I wanted to jump right in and just share about this awesome book. I mean, The Lean Startup is truly a process, a thought, and a systematic approach to accomplishing various tasks when you don't have a lot to work with. And today we're talking about, this idea of batching tasks. And when you batch tasks, it's this idea that you can take not one task at a time. You know how we have this method of accomplishing or working towards the hardest tasks first, and then once that's done, you'll feel accomplished during the day. This is more of an advanced move for startups, because in reality you can't accomplish the biggest task in one go. It's tough to do. And so there's a systematic approach to getting things done to pick up momentum, and that's to batch things. So you kind of have to look at what you have to do on a daily basis, and you say, okay, well, 5 of these tasks have to do with one software, and these tasks over here are all email related, and then these tasks over here are completely physical labor based tasks that I need to do that don't require me to be at a desk, but I can do it mobile on my phone, right? And so what you start to recognize is, can I take those tasks and I put them all together and knock them out all together, so I move that batch forward? And it's called batching, and it's a powerful tool in the game of chess, right? You want to move pieces across the board, but also protect your king and your most valuable players, which are the pieces that can do the most damage. And so momentum is important. And so can you shift momentum where you're sitting or with what you're doing while you're still progressing and building up a business? And that's what batching is all about. And I'll just tell a quick story, and I'll pass it off to my team here to talk more about this. But in the world, you guys can always count on me when it comes to telling stories or examples about sports, right? And it's funny because sports is like maybe a minor part of my life, but it was such a significant part and so relatable to me in the entrepreneurial world that the stories come and go. When it comes to training, let's say for a decathlon, which is 10 events, track and field is a lot. You have to be all around in shape. You have to know how to throw. You've got to lift weights. You've got to be sprinting. You also need to be working on your cardio so you can run longer distances. You have to basically tell your body to do the opposite of what it's supposed to do when you're training it. And so you have to batch things. And so you can't just run a lap and then rest and then run a lap again when you're training. You have to run a lap. And then when you're resting, you have to be batching tasks with that so that you're getting the work done. And oftentimes what we would do is we would have you catch your breath or get back on track, pun intended, by walking backwards and doing heel toe exercises or high knees or slow motion lunges so that you can catch your breath, but still work out other parts of the body. And it has to do with movement and momentum. So it's a really, really cool way to get things done. And it's done in sports. It's also done in the break room. It is also done at the desk, at the laptop, at the coffee shop, and so much more. So that's what I wanted to like hit things off today with. We have more other things, innovative things we can talk about as well. But I thought that'd be really interesting for us to talk about how we accomplish things in batches and how identifying and aligning similar tasks together can help us be even more accomplished as we move forward as a lean startup. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I love that. I was thinking about the book as you were talking about that and kind of reconciling those analogies. But I think he had a great example in the book about Intuit and their QuickBooks program. And they traditionally had done one big upgrade every year. And they would work the whole year to do that and then release that new update. And one year they did that, and it turned out that the customers didn't like what they updated. And they were kind of stuck, well, it takes us another year to get to the next one. And then in the book, we talk about, the lean methodology and getting these smaller batches to continually work on it. Like you said with the track, you don't do all of your training one day and then go run it and then wait till the next meet to do your next planning. You're continually doing small batches of work, small batches of training. And as Intuit learned to do this, instead of having one huge thing that they didn't know what was going to happen, well, they thought they did, but they were wrong this time. They learned to start taking, okay, let's break it into segments. Let's take these areas that are similar. Let's put a team on that, and let's let them run that batch of ideas, of tasks, of products together. And then they can update that one. Well, the next one is working on this batch, and this one's working on this batch. And breaking up those batches into small, continuous improvement batches. So you're not stuck waiting for some big outcome. Lost that word for a second there. So I think that lean methodology coming in is what drives that continuous innovation we're talking about, that continuous improvement. The old idea was, a car company would come out with a new model once a year. They kind of still do that. And you're waiting until that. Your refrigerator company comes out with a new model every few years. But software comes out, my Google updates hourly, if not every couple of minutes. There's something changing in it. So continuous improvement through these batching tasks, batching processes to continuously improve that. So I guess just looking at that idea, I'm going to look for some more improvement on what I've said. What's the next batch of things here?
No, off your idea, it reminded me of New Year's resolutions, because everybody, or at least most people, New Year comes around, they want to make big changes. They want to go to the gym, so they go get a membership. They want to be able to get more finance or spend time with family and less time at work. They have these goals, they have these dreams, whatever they want to call them, to be able to be better that year. That's like you're talking about, Ian, that's the yearly update. That's the yearly model that's coming out. But we know in this industry that it's the continuous improvement. It's what you're consistently doing every single day. Someone who wants to get a gym membership and to work out might go for the first couple of weeks, but then after that, they might be like, yeah, stuff happens. Maybe they got sick. Maybe a family member got sick and they had to go take care of them, or work and school or whatever comes into play. And so they just didn't go to the gym. And then all of a sudden they're sitting on the couch and they're just like, man, I hate this gym subscription, but I'll go someday. It's that yearly model of improvement. If we're able to be consistent, which is like the Google updates, where it's every day, every couple days, to where we're pushing ourselves, learning how to get better and to be better, then over time, these small little pivots are going to take us a lot further than if we just did the yearly thing. I think batching is crazy important. And I know that one of my least favorite tasks to do is editing out of the things that I do. I love the creative side of it. I love like putting things together and just seeing the whole thing transform. It takes so much time to be able to do it. And so I found little tips and tricks of batching it together to where if I'm editing, I am sole editing for that work time frame, because that is the mindset I'm in. That's the realm I'm going to do. So I'm editing, whether that's one video or multiple videos, I batch them together. Then maybe the next day, I'm like, cool, now I'm going to work on the titles, the descriptions, the YouTube analytics, the SEO optimized words, everything that goes on with that. And batching them together eventually gets all the projects done. And it saves me so much time because I'm not jumping back and forth with everything, but it's doing this right here, doing this right here. So with the things that we do every day, as we batch every day, as we batch every other day, rather than just complete the whole thing 1 or 2 days in an entire year, it's crazy how the leanness of being able to do that takes us so much more further than just the oh my goodness, I can't find the word, the yearly thing. There we go. I'll leave it at that. I'll turn it over to you two again.
You know what's a fun thing to do and a good practice if you want to like get good at batching is to change your environment. So I know, like, for example, today, I know that I have a lot of laptop work that does not require conversations or meeting up with people or phone calls. And so what I will either do is one of two things. I will plan on taking my noise cancellation headphones with me, and I'm going to go to the coffee shop and I'm just going to cruise. Or I will find a place in my house where I can literally be undisturbed, and I will go to that location and I will work, and I'll give myself like a 2-hour timer, and I'll block out that time so that I can get the things I need to get done. It's a fun little task because if you change your environment, and some of you working at home are like, John, you're crazy. I have a computer. I can't be mobile like that. I get it. But maybe you can change the way you work. Like, can you stand? Is it a standable desk, or is it something where you can change positions of the keyboard? Like, focusing on your environment and giving yourself a different scenario can help you truly like move. And you don't believe me now, but you just try it. Like, I literally picked up this before we were on screen, and it was a little sign I have on my door. It says teamwork makes the dream work. And if you literally will move things around and rearrange, not like reupholster the whole house, like just move things around and make the environment different, it really does help. It's a little trick to the brain that tells the brain, hey, I'm seeing things that I haven't seen before, but I'm going to focus on what's in front of me despite the change environment. And the brain does some crazy things that allow you to really add some fine touches to this method. So I highly recommend it. And if you don't like it, send one of these two an email and let them know that John's advice was terrible.
Yeah, send Ian the email and tell him.
I'll take that, because then I can set up a call with John and say, you wouldn't believe the comments I'm getting. So you're wrong. Anyway, batching, back to that. So as we've been talking, my mind's been kind of going over batching and remembering what the different meanings of this word come into. And I'm going to throw in one more in that. As I started to learn about computers, and I realized there's tasks you can batch, and if I'm doing this wrong, put it in the comments and let John know. So you could change the name of 100 things at once. Or if I would do photography, I could do an auto cleanup of 100 photos at one time. And I could batch that process. And while that was happening, I could go do something else. So another part I think of this batching for improvement is, what can you automate together? And by automate, meaning I don't have to do it. What can I send a team or a partner to do a task? And while they're doing that, just like the computer was batch processing photographs, I can start on the next process. And through that, you kind of stack your processes that you're doing. So you can continually be working towards more improvement through automating batches of tasks, either with some wonderful tools and AI that we can do to take care of those things, whether it's a virtual assistant, whether it's a business partner, whether it's a friend or family member, depending on what kind of task you're doing. Another way to continuously improve, which is so much of that lean methodology, that lean model, is batching tasks to let them run in the background, or maybe it's just waiting to get customer feedback on task one, and you just start going into task two until that customer feedback is back again. So we're just continuously moving forward, I think, is really the bottom line of this whole batching process.
It's I like that, because it goes into, I'm thinking of podcasting, since this is a podcast. I'm thinking of what we're doing when we're improving, let's just say, with the podcast, because all three of us know back in the beginning of the Champion Read days, it wasn't like this. We didn't have written scripts. It was like trying to pick a topic. We picked a book, trying to figure everything out. It was a little bit more messy than it is today. And as it was there, we continued to move forward and record episodes. And then as we recorded episodes, then we would rewatch the videos and be like, okay, I can change this. Maybe the camera could be better. The audio can be better. Then we had comments coming in saying, love to see this, or love to see this improvement. So off Ian's point, when you continue to not only just batch the daily things, but put them even together in more of an innovation type realm, you continue to move forward. You be consistent with putting stuff out. And as you're going and doing that, you're getting the advice and improvements as you move on. It goes along the quote, which is one of my favorites. The master is the master because the master has failed more than the novice has tried. The master has tried and failed way more than the novice. But he's the master because while he is doing that, he is learning. While he is doing that, he is improving. And so it's so cool when you put these together, because if you are a novice today, or a novice like us way back in the beginning of Champion Read days, we're not masters now. We'll admit that. We're not masters now, but we are more towards of a mastery than we were back then. And it was just the daily consistent of recording, as we've been doing this for, I think, 2 years now with Champion Reads. It's the consistency of us showing up and the consistency of us proving that brings the innovation together to be able to go into the expert and mastery level. So for you listeners and champions who are listening, as you move forward on the path, continue to learn, continue to be a lifelong student, innovate yourself, try new things along the way. Because like we covered in the Underdog Advantage, another book in the that we went over, is that people just aren't looking. People aren't looking at you at the beginning. So you get to make mistakes. And it's those mistakes that you make that accelerates the rate in which you improve. And then the competition that's there will be blindsided by you because nobody else's eyes are on you. And you can just fly forward with it.
Yeah, and as you as the book talks about this step in finalizing your lean startup methods, batching is a very powerful tool in getting tasks done quickly and keeping your momentum moving. He also talks about moving into adaptation, like adapting to what the results create based on your plans and everything else. But true innovation, as you were saying, Willie, comes from those who have parameters, those who have created a plan, but how nimble, that's the word we're going to stick with today, how nimble you can be on your feet when working at that speed and that momentum. Because once the ball is moving, try to stop it. But if the ball is moving in the wrong direction, that's where you've got to be agile. That's where you've got to be a little bit different in thinking. The normal process of elimination and problem solving and sequencing may be different when problems arise. And then you get into when you try to course correct as an entrepreneur and you try to fix problems, you could get stuck in the lane of putting out fires, and then your role becomes fire putter outer, right? And you don't want to be stuck in that lane. You've got to find out how to either quickly get back on course. I mean, let's use a boulder, okay? A big round boulder. We're thinking Indiana Jones, giant circular ball in the tunnel of doom, okay? Look at this boulder, all right? That's a nice boulder is what I just thought of myself. We were talking about Shrek earlier.
Nice boulder.
That's a nice boulder. Okay, you've got a boulder, and you've got to get the boulder from point A to point B. But the boulder starts off on the wrong course. It's kind of leaning, okay? And it's going towards C, not B. It's going towards C. So you've got to figure out, is it better for me to make a drastic turn back to the course it's supposed to be on so that it's going towards B? Or do I need to make a gradual rounding turn to get there? Which is going to be more efficient? Well, the answer is not obvious. Because the answer is it depends, and it also depends on what the task is. If you truly want to succeed in business, you have to be adaptable, you've got to be innovative, and you've got to figure out what's the best case scenario for right now that I need to do. And it's not always emails. We always go to the easy things. It's not always emails. Sometimes, and importantly, there's a difference. Sometimes it is communication. And most of the time it is communication, but that doesn't mean emails. It doesn't mean text messages. It might be conversations. It might be that hard phone call. It might be picking up the phone for sales. It might be going to an event, whatever it might be, but you need to decide that and you need to adapt quick. And then you got to be innovative. And that's where the true creation comes. If you really want to see things like come to life for you and your business, start creating when you feel least creative. That's where innovation is born. That is where like the solutions that couldn't be seen before become obvious as you're pushing that boulder back on track. Kind of an interesting visual, and it's hard to grasp until you're in it. And you're like, wait, what were, Ian, Willie, and John talking about? Do I need to get back on track? You got to decide for yourself what is the actual task at hand and what needs to be done. So think about innovation from a perspective of putting out fires the right way and getting things solved quickly so that you can accomplish your overall goal.
I think that boulder analogy sums up entrepreneurship in a lot of ways. It's like, okay, I'm rolling this boulder and it's going off course. Do I need to put my effort into pushing the boulder so it'll keep moving? Do I need to continually minor course correct? Do I need to get more momentum and then make a big correction? Do I need to make sure that the boulder is big enough, or is it too big for what I'm doing? Ideally, I should be pushing the boulder from behind and not running in front of it the way Indiana Jones did. Is there another boulder behind me chasing me as well? There's all of these things going on with entrepreneurship and figuring out, what is the priority task right now? If we get enough momentum going with that boulder, then maybe it's even easier to course correct. But then another person might get too much momentum going in there, and then they're too far off course. And now they have to shift their goal to be point C instead of point B and redo their whole plan. There's just so much in this. And this book really goes into that idea that you have to be agile. You have to be able to adapt to situations, to the goals coming in. And it really comes to a combination that fits right for you. Are you focused on customer satisfaction alone? Or do you know your dream and you're going to follow what you believe it to be, and you know that there's going to be a market once it's there? Or is it somewhere in the middle of that? And just that whole process, it excites me and terrifies me at the same time as I look at starting businesses and projects that I'm working on. And one of my business partners and I are continually joking that, I love that idea. Okay, that's going to be in version 7.0 or version 9.0 down the road. But let's get version 1.0 out first, or version 0.5 to begin with. And learning how to batch these tasks, to automate them, to continually work on them. If we're not doing that, we're just falling behind. We're not moving forward. And I think that's a lesson in this book, that it's so hard to put everything from this book into a short podcast because he goes through so much information. But yeah, set your goals, know how to work it, and it's juggling where to put your effort in, where the most important things are. And I'm kind of stuck at that point because I'm still overwhelmed with this book. How does that sound? So go out and read it, and then tell me in the comments what you think about it.
You heard it here. Drop it in the comments what you think, because truly we do care about what you think. Another example to that boulder is when my wife and I, before we had kids, we were going to my brother-in-law's wrestling tournament, which was up in Pocatello, Idaho. If any of you are familiar with the area, you have Pocatello up here, and then you go down, and then it branches off. One goes down to Utah, and then the other goes over to Boise, which is where my in-laws were at. We were supposed to go the Boise route. My wife was asleep, and I wasn't thinking, apparently. So I started driving to Utah because that's where I grew up from. And about, how long was it? About 30, 40 minutes into being past the turn that I should have been on, I thought to myself, this road doesn't look familiar. So I stopped, pulled up the Google Maps, and found that I was not only 40 minutes out of the way, but if I turned around, had an additional 40 minutes added onto it because I had to make up for that time. And so I had to make a decision. Do I continue to keep going down and then cut over in Tremonton, or do I make a U-E and go back that way? Ultimately, it was shorter to make a U-E and go back that way. But when it comes to us being on the course of the journey that we're on, and the boulders going down the hill, we get to make a decision to adjust it however we want. Don't ever regret the decision that you make, because as we wrap up this episode, I'll end it with something that I had a wonderful opportunity to talk about as I was interviewed on a different podcast. They asked me about decisiveness and that how can you be decisive and they were talking about where I was at from before of being a shy dyslexic. And I told them, you got to hit the point of there's a difference between being decisive and being stubborn. Being stubborn is that the destination is solid and there's only one journey to get there. That is stubborn. You're not going to deviate from any way. You know the perfect route, the exact way that you need to go, and you stick to that. Don't hear anybody else. That's what it is. That's stubborn. But being decisive, being able to be definite, in one of my favorite quotes, being definite in what you do is the goal or the destination you want to go to, that is solid. But the journey is adaptable. The way you get there is not concrete. There are many ways to get to that destination. It's just whatever works for you. So as we're talking about batching, as we're talking about innovation, setting parameters, placing the plan, as we're talking about the boulder rolling down the hill, be decisive in the destination, what you're wanting to achieve, where you are wanting to go. But be adjustable and adaptable in the journey. Because if you're driving from your house to Walmart, you're not looking in the direction of Walmart, hitting the gas and going straight, because you're going to hit a couple houses along the way. But you're going to be turning the wheel. You're going to be going down the road paths that you need to, and then eventually you'll get to your destination. As you're headed that way in your journey, you're just going to have to be turning the steering wheel, adjusting to the things that are in the way, pivoting or whacking the boulder over to get back on the path that it needs to go as you're going there. And that's okay. That's fine. That's what happens. And that's what should happen. So don't be stubborn, be decisive.
I'll just wrap up my thoughts and just say, we've all heard the old adage of work smarter, not harder. And that is not to imply that you must cut corners. There is no cutting corners. You must do everything in your willpower to succeed in accomplishing your goals. Are there better, faster, more efficient ways? For sure. But you've got to learn to do those before you can follow their steps. And doing that will give you accelerated growth. So take the steps necessary. Don't think there's a shortcut. Just because there's a world of AI and tasks can do it for you, someone's got to push the button. Someone's got to pull the trigger. Someone's got to make it happen. And you've got to do that. And that's in your hands. So I bestow the power to you, listener, and go and take advantage of the newfound admiration for hard work and success that you now have.
I love that. Someone's got to push the button, and I'm looking at my keyboard for the ChatGPT fix all this for me button. And I'm not sure where it is. I think it's next to the tab, but if you find that, let me know. But yeah, the tools we can use to speed it up, to help the process, we need to learn all those, but ultimately, I should say, we have to be in charge of it. We have to be in control of what's going on. And we can't let these processes become the end goal unless your business is creating processes. I've got a friend who is always saying, oh, I need to learn AI. I need to put AI into this. But he doesn't have something for AI to do. He just wants AI. You can't just put processes in because they're cool. You have to be in control of it. You have to have that plan, set those parameters in place. So there's my final advice.
I love it. And with that wraps up this episode of Champion Reads. If you found inspiration in it, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms, as well as you can go to our website, mychampionscircle.com, where you'll have the links to our podcast, links to our socials, and everything else going in the Champion Circle universe. Until next time, champions, continue to be the best version of yourself. Continue to move forward in accelerating your results. And always remember, batch together for time and be kind to yourself by making the decision and continue to adapt to it. We'll see you on the next episode of Champion Reads.